I believe we are going to talk over together the question, what is the meaning of be a light to yourself? What's the meaning of being a light to yourself? If you don't like that subject, we can change it to something else which you want. And I think it would be good if I may suggest that we all talk, not one or two of us talk, but each one of us share in the discussion or in the talk. Is that all right? All of us take part in it. Sure. Vous êtes ici aussi. Bien. So do you want to discuss that or any other subject? That is, be a light to yourself. I believe I have said that before, so it was suggested that we talk about that. If that is not what you want, we can talk about something else.
What does it mean to be a light to oneself?
That's what we're going to discuss. We're going to go into it. Is that what you want to talk over? May I set the ball rolling and then we can... Please, this is not a talk or a sermon by me, but rather we are all going to partake or share in our discussions. So each one of us, if I may most respectfully suggest, that we all talk. Each one of us, expressing what we want to say, contradicting each other, doubting each other, questioning each other, to find out the truth of whatever we are saying. Not only this speaker, but all of us. So may I start the ball rolling? I think most of us are slaves, either to religious concepts, beliefs and symbols, or to some kind of experience, or slaves to institutions and concepts. And being prisoners to all that, how can one be a light to oneself? You understand? I'm just starting it. If one is committed to a certain pattern of life, a certain way of living, if one is a businessman or a scientist or a philosopher, one is caught in that. One becomes completely absorbed in it. And the rest of life flows by. We are concerned in our discussion with the whole of life, not just one part, one segment, or one particular tendency, or one's profession. So, does one realize, including myself, that one is caught in a routine which naturally prevents freedom? We can discuss what freedom is and we can go into all that. It prevents freedom. And so one can never be clear in oneself. One can never understand the depth of oneself, or when one is dependent on something, one cannot be light to oneself. That is the general outline. We can go very much into detail, and we should, if you want. So that's what we are proposing to discuss, whether the human mind, our mind, your mind and our mind, can be completely free from all institutions, from all the impositions, the pressures of religions, their symbols, their ideologies, their theories and their dogmas, which is mostly all of that is superstition. And can one be free of that completely? That's one point. Then can one be completely free from the imposition of language? Language drives us, shapes our thinking, forces us to a certain course of action. So is one aware of that and be free of being slave to language? We can go into all this. Next question, can one be free of ideologies and so on? So all these make our minds narrow, limited, prisoners to society, to social environment, economics, and so on, so on, so on. If that is so, how can one be a light to oneself? Do we discuss this? Or do you want to talk about something else?
At a certain point, one begins to realize that we are caught in language, and the root of our sense of identity is in that. Words, images, theories, what have you. It appears that the response to that in daily life is the continuation, our continuity of identity. Perhaps we could go into recognition and continuity.
I think we all heard that. I don't have to repeat it, have I? Right. How do we start discussing this thing? Exploring it in ourselves, not exploring some other person. How can I explore myself, understand the depth of myself, without understanding how one's mind has become slavish, dependent, and so on. Avanti.
In my case, it has been education, as I feel.
Does education, the way we are educated, does it make our minds slavish, conforming, accepting the pattern, or establish a new establishment and becoming a slave to that, and so on?
Well, a certain part of education is condition itself.
Go into it, sir. Let's go. You see, I don't know how to discuss this matter or go into it. If each find out, sir, first, is that what you want to discuss? I'm not imposing what we should discuss, but that was just suggested. But if there is something better than that, please put it forward and we can go into it.
Can we ask the question, what is the instrument of inquiry? Because there seems a contradiction between not knowing and acquiring. And inquiring. Inquiring always seems to be some sort of direction, a means to something. And what is this contradiction between not knowing and inquiring?
What is the instrument of discussion, which is capable of discussion? Is that it?
Now he's asking what is the instrument of inquiry?
Yeah. What is the state of the mind, or thought, or what you like, that can freely inquire? Right? What is your state, sir? Don't ask me. Find out what is your state of mind that is capable of inquiry.
If you talk about the state of mind...
Stick to one thing, sir. Don't. We have understood the meaning of that word, so don't. What is your state of mind that says, I must inquire, that wishes to inquire?
Could we go, Krishnaji, could we go into exactly what you mean by being a light to yourself? Does it mean simply being free of words and being free of institutions?
No, it means,
Or is there more?
doesn't it mean we depend on the light of others? Right? The Christian world has been conditioned, for example, that Jesus and so on, that person will be your salvation. So you are relying on that person, idealized, made divine by the priests and so on, so on, so on, to depend for one's salvation. I'm using old-fashioned word, which we'll explore. To depend on an external agency for our what? For our freedom from sorrow, pain, anxiety, and so on, so on, so on. The Church, the Catholic Church, has done that. The Hindus have their own pattern of thinking. So is the Tibetans, so is the Buddhists, and so on. Along the same pattern, only different set of words, different set of phrases, different symbols, and so on. But always depending on external agency. Thinking that the external agency is different from us. We have created the external agency, the outside agency. So we have divided ourselves from that and say, that will save me from my anxiety, fear, sorrow, all the rest of it. We have created that, right? And having separated ourselves from that, then we say, how am I going to be saved, in quotes? So can one be free completely from external agency for all that, for happiness, for enlightenment, whatever word we like to use?
So, but surely nowadays many people will say that they don't believe in God, or so they reject that. So they have no obvious external agency. So it's more complicated.
Then, if you reject the outside agency, then how will you, what manner, or how will you free yourself in what manner you will be free from all your entanglements, from all your sorrows, pain, and so on. If you don't depend on anybody, including Kate, including the speaker.
So, isn't it that many people have independence as a God?
Vibhan?
Many people have independence as their God, freedom, and they see that just as political freedom.
No, either that freedom is intellectually, theoretically accepted, or actually one has put that aside completely.
What I meant was, would being a light to oneself be real freedom as opposed to political freedom?
I haven't understood, sorry. Please, answer her. I don't wait on me to discuss it.
I don't think he means freedom as opposed to anything else. Opposed to political freedom or non-freedom. Just freedom per se.
Surely we're talking about a freedom which is deeper than political freedom.
No, I'm,
Freedom to go where you want.
first of all, is it possible to act rightly, accurately, truly, without any guidance from outside? You follow my question? To think very clearly, inwardly and outwardly, and act outwardly, without any imposition, without any pressure.
But what usually happens when somebody hears that is, if you realize you don't want to be a slave to a guidance from outside, you think, okay, I'll have my inner guidance.
First of all, if you hear that and reject that, and then depend on your inner guidance,
Yeah, so
what does that mean?
well, you feel like you want to gather more experience and to formalize your concepts about life.
Which comes to the same thing.
Yeah.
Eventually it comes both. When you reject the outer as a guide, you must also reject the inner as your guide.
Yeah, so can we go into that?
So it becomes very complex, you see. That's why I want to explore it, if you will.
Or also that,
Please.
also, sir, also complex from the sense that most or many people today would say that they have no guide, or they would say they would not think in those terms of having an outer guide or an inner guide. They would simply go on living and they have no guide.
Therefore, if you reject the outer God and the inner God, and then what?
Well, they obviously they live confused and
Yes, so live confused, unhappy, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Is that what we are doing? What you are doing? Surely this is.
We have your words.
Huh?
We have your words.
Throw those. You don't have my words. Throw them out.
Right, I was going to say that.
Throw them
We have
out.
your words.
And
You
now,
ask the quality of listening.
then you become prisoner of those words.
Right.
Well,
So-
if I stand up and I say, well, I'm going to throw away everything, all my dependencies, all my external relations,
No.
my crutches, everything I've used to get to where I am, and go by myself into the world.
You can't.
What am I left with?
Nothing. Intellectually, you have nothing left.
Well, then I
If
can't
you
operate.
intellectually reject, verbally say, I've got rid of the church, I've got rid of God, I've got rid of Jesus, I've got rid of Krishna, I've got rid of Buddha, I've got rid of this and that, including Jehovah, right? Then you what? Have you done it intelligently or merely verbally? I don't, so the,
How can I do it intelligently?
that's what we're trying to find out.
Surely, if I could.
When I see something dangerous, stupid, can't I see the danger and the stupidity of it and discard it? Which is the awakening of intelligence.
If I see something that is hurting me,
Not you,
or,
not only you, but humanity,
well, yes, humanity itself,
which
then,
is part,
then
which
I
is
have
part
to
of
throw
you.
it away.
Humanity,
Right, which is part of me.
therefore,
Then I have to throw it away.
no, not have to. Do you?
Or if I don't, I am crazy.
Probably we are.
We are.
It's not an intellectual process. If it's an intellectual process that's discarding, then it just stays in the mind. When you see the truth of something, you don't say whether you're finished with it or not. You either have in fact, or you haven't. And it doesn't become an intellectual question.
Yes, sir, that's just it. Is this what you want to talk about? Please, let's. Or do you want to talk about something else? You want to talk about your personal problems?
Well, that is a personal problem.
Wait, don't. You said it. Do you want to talk about your personal problems? Or not personal problem, but make it impersonal and put it that way.
The crazy thing is, it is a personal problem, and that it's everyone's. It's
May
an
I-
isolating problem.
Yes, sir.
It's everyone's problem.
May I suggest something? Can we ask the right question? What do you mean by right, and what do you mean by question? Right question will inevitably bring about right answer. But we ask a wrong question, that wrong question evaporates into nothingness. So can we ask the right question which will awaken our own intelligence, our own native perception? I don't know how to put all this into words. All right, let's begin with something. Can we doubt? Are we skeptical?
Generally, only when things are bad.
Have we a quality of doubt which is not cynical, which is not born out of bitterness or negligence, but the capacity to question. Not fanciful questions, not romantic questions, but questions that the way we live, the way we think, our actions question the whole of our existence as we live. Have we got the capacity to do that? Can we begin with that at least? The way we live, our root actions which are become mechanical, our feelings, our reactions, our fears, our pleasures, the whole of our existence. Can we question the way we live? Can we begin with that? What would you like to begin with, for God's sake?
One thing struck me. You mentioned that we are a slave of institution, and in all of these questions, I think there should be one fundamental, sort of nature of us which make us become a slave of institution?
Tunki, we're old friends, right? Do you realize the way you live, I'm not being personal, do you question the way of your living, of your life, what you are doing, why you think this, why you feel that, why you have certain reactions, sexual, otherwise? Question the whole thing, do you? Or do you just trot along in your old pattern which you have established for yourself? Or pattern which your father, your grandfather, your environment has said, do this, and you follow that?
I think basically that we don't, that we follow most of the time is because we have fear of making mistakes.
No, before you have awakened to fear, do you question your way of your life? Do I question my way of life? I talk everywhere. Do I question it? I would say, well, part of my routine. I've done it for 50, 60 years, and I'll carry on. Or do I say, my God, what am I doing? Why am I doing?
So, I think people generally don't question.
At all. Partly, when it suits them.
I think their minds are mainly concerned with physical survival.
Yes. So can we here, the first day, learn the art of questioning?
Wouldn't it be better to say or question what is stopping you? Why are people in that rut?
No,
They don't question.
I want to learn the art of questioning myself. There is art in it, isn't there? Huh? I must do it the right way or the wrong way. There must be a way of questioning that awakens the whole nature and structure of myself. The way I look at it, the way I understand it, the way I see the whole operation in movement. I must question it.
Why must there be a way?
What?
Why must there be a way?
Why must I question? I mean,
No, why must there be a way? Why must there be an art of questioning?
Why must there be a way?
Why must there be an art? You said there must be a way of questioning. Why must there?
I can't.
Why must there be an art or a way of questioning?
No, of course, if I put a wrong question to myself, I won't find out, I'll have a wrong response. No?
You mean
Yes.
only respond to pain?
No, it's not only to pain. Isn't there a art the way you walk? Isn't there? Huh? Isn't there art in the way you talk, in the way you say, So don't you want to? Mustn't one learn the art of questioning, or not questioning, but the art of observing, if you like to put it that way?
Is there an art of seeing that you ask bad questions?
What?
Is there an art
Oh yes, it can become a lovely art too.
to see that you're asking bad questions? Or
Huh?
that you're saying that there's an art in questioning, to ask the right question.
So, does it appeal to you to find out? To find out together the right way of questioning, so that out of the questioning, an intelligence can arise. Intelligence. Can we do that? I don't know how to push this
What is
heavy
the
weight.
question without motivation?
What's up?
What is the question without motivation?
I can't hear.
Without motivation.
Well, let's find out. If I have a motivation in questioning, I've already directed my questioning, right? I've already set a line according to which I'll question. Therefore, I shall never put the right question if I have a motive. So I have to go in to say, have I a motive in questioning?
Isn't finding out?
Or in observing, or in listening to myself, listening to what is going on around me and the world and everything.
Isn't wanting to find out a motive?
What?
Isn't wanting to find out a
No,
motive?
no, that's not a motive. I see in my inquiry in observing, if I have a motive, I have a set of direction, right? And so I can never be free to discover the right observation if I have set a course. So if I see that, then I'm already intelligent, am I not? Somewhat intelligent. So I drop it. It's dropped. Isn't this clear, or am I?
So you can ask a question, experiment, you can say, I'm going to ask a question to myself which has a motive in it, and see what happens when I have a motive.
That's right.
Then find out what it is to ask the
That's
question.
right. That's right. Do it. Let's do it now. Have I a motive in my questioning, in my observation? I see in my observation what the religions have. I'm taking that as an example. I'll expand it much more. I see what religions have done. They have enslaved man, right? Do I see it because I'm antagonistic against Jesus or against the Pope or some reason for which I say that's nonsense? Or is it so, independent of me, independent of my prejudices? Or go to India, they have all this enormous superstition, like the Catholics, like everybody else. And have I thrown those away because I've accepted other forms of superstition which are more pleasing, and therefore I've got rid of the Hindu superstitions. But my question is, have I got rid of all superstition? Have I seen the nature of superstition? How superstition arises? Fear, reward, punishment, hell and heaven, which has been, hell and heaven has been going on for millennia. Right? All this we all know, historically. So, am I free of one superstition, one set of superstitions, and falling into another? Or have I my superstitions in myself? You follow?
To look at one superstition or one motivation is quite easy.
Yes.
But if we are trying to look at the nature of superstition itself or the nature of motivation itself, that's quite different.
Which is the nature of superstition. I'm frightened, I want to be comforted, I want somebody, external agents, to help me.
But what's that process by which, or how is it that a person can go from looking at a single example of something like superstition to seeing all superstition?
But do you see what is superstition? Let's understand. What do we mean by that word superstition?
Belief.
Which means what? Belief in something which you hope to be true.
Hope or suspect or fear?
Yes. Hope. Hope that will give you comfort, that will protect you, that will help you to get over certain fears and so on, right? Which is the thought invented some kind of figure, some kind of agency outside yourself which will help you. And all the complications of it. And when you see how absurd, how nonsensical it is, which is superstition, that nonsense you see in every form of religion.
But isn't there a possibly basic difficulty in the perception of that? For instance, the mind may take it as a fact that certain scientific something is true. And you base your action according to that because you're healthier. But how does the mind perceive a fact in the external world and see the difference between that and the superstition, which he has also been told by some, respects, that it is a fact to, I don't know what, to not do something on the 13th of the month, or whatever the superstition is. How does the mind make the perception between...
I understand that question.
Has validity.
Please answer her. You don't have to answer her.
There's a very basic, I think, human difficulty in this notion of, say, religion. There is a sense of divination. People have said that certain things were real. Now the mind either says, oh yes, it must be so, and accepts it, or says no. But how do we draw the line in perception of fact and perception of something that has great authority in other people's lives?
Answer her, please.
If you have a scientific education, a modern education, then your judgment will be based that fact is non-verifiable, that you cannot verify the existence of God, therefore there is no reason to believe in God. That would be the scientific answer to that problem. So there would be no reason to believe in God if you received a modern education, because it's a non-scientific fact, or not a fact, it's a non-scientific premise, a supposition, or whatever.
Science also can be mistaken.
Of course, but in answer to that particular problem, many people today would say that God does not exist, or they would say that it's stupid superstition is stupid.
Galileo, Galileo said the earth goes round the sun. And the church said, that's a heresy, we'll burn you. He said, all right, earth doesn't go around the sun, but I believe in it. I know it. And before that, they believed the earth stood still and the sun went round it.
But that doesn't change anything, because Galileo was right.
No, but you follow? Mrs. Zimbel is asking, how do you differentiate between fact and superstition? Wait, find out what she's... I want to be clear for myself. I'm trying to think it out for myself what she said. The fact and the idea, right? Let's put it that way. The fact and the idea about the fact. But go slowly. Don't jump on me. Don't jump on me yet. Go slowly. The idea about the fact and the fact itself without the idea. Is there such a state?
Well, the fact is seen.
No, don't answer. Find out. Say, for instance, I am frightened. Fear. Is that an idea or is it a fact? If it is an idea, it's a superstition.
Then there's no...
No, but listen, you're not examining some. Find out.
Something goes on, and we call it fear. Perhaps the calling fear is the idea.
That's what we are saying.
Something is actually going on, which is a fact. But somehow we take for facts the
give credence, more credence to the name that we give the fact than what is actually going on. Even with what Mrs. Zimbalist said, I think that in science we take many things as facts, which may just be working hypotheses.
That's just it. Can I differentiate the word from the fact? Knowing the door is not the word. If I cling to the word and worship the word, I'm living in superstition. I'm moved away from the fact.
But most of us have to live our daily lives surrounded by facts unverifiable by us.
Yes.
So there is a margin, probably margin in there of everyday life.
That certainly, but I'm talking about the facts about oneself, not whether the moon is made of cheese or rocks and all the rest of it, but I'm concerned whether I'm living in a world of make-believe, superstition, in a world that has been imposed upon me, which I have invented, and they in turn have been slave to that. I want to find out that. That's not so. That is, I want to inquire into facts as they are.
Well, I can see that some facts, I can see that I do live in a world like that, but I only see the particular. See, I see particular fears or particular superstitions, but I don't see all of fear or all of superstition. And that is a jump to go from the particular to general, which is...
Now, wait a minute, Scott. Suppose, do you question why you don't see the whole nature and structure of fear? Or to say, I only see part of it, not the whole of it. Do you question why you don't see it?
Yes,
When you ask me, why don't I see it, you're depending on me.
Now, I have questioned why I don't see it.
No, you might not. You might have questioned casually. You might have questioned wrongly, or you might say, look, it is terribly important that I find this out.
Isn't it connected with authority, actually, psychologically?
Yes, yes.
Because the superstition and so-called scientific fact is based on authority. Some verifiable and some not.
So I can't verify what the moon is made of, right? The scientists, the astronauts and all the rest of it have told me what it is. All right, I'm not great, yes, it's made of rocks or dead earth or whatever it is. All right. Why should I believe or not believe? I don't know. Maybe, like those people who believe intensely in flying saucers. Do you believe? They come to me and say, do you believe in it? I say, I don't know. But that's, to me, we are moving away from most relevant facts, which is the world I live in, the actions I do, the way I think, feel, all that I'm concerned with. Which doesn't mean I'm selfish, that I disregard the world. I'm concerned because I am the world. The world is not different from me. I am the world.
There seems to be a hierarchy of ideas, but some things are more important. The idea that the moon is made of rocks may be more voracious than the idea that they're flying saucers, or it may not be. And aren't religions like that? Aren't they essentially statements by people who have said something quite high about human existence? And we hear them, and we don't know whether it's true or not, but it's important that somebody has said that.
Yes, I understand.
If we move toward it.
But is it that I'm that one is more and more looking outwardly. You follow, sir? The baby is born out of a tube, the moon, astronauts, and all that's going on around us are so tremendously interesting and maybe tremendously dangerous. And we are fascinated by all that, and so we forget about ourselves, our world, our life. And I said, for God's sake, that exists, let's come back here. From here, we can go out there and perhaps do something about it.
Yeah. But it seems important, for instance, to me, it's a bit important to know that things are made of atoms and made of tiny particles of energy, so that one knows with one's mind that creation exists out of energy. That seems to change things. One isn't taken in only by the sense of it.
So are you saying that we concern ourselves with these questions outwardly just in order to escape looking at them?
Maybe.
I know I find it very hard to hold to what is actually
I mean,
going
you
on.
pick up a newspaper every morning, if you read it, and you read what's happening everywhere. The floods in India, the butcheries in Nicaragua, this, that, and you say, my God, you spend the whole morning, and you go off to your job, again something else, and come back, again the evening news, and so keep living eternally till you die out there. Is that what we are doing?
But if you read the paper or anything, if you read the paper in the morning, you can be aware that you're responding to what you're reading, and all
Quite right, sir.
got
Quite
to
right.
go on is your feelings,
Yes.
what your
So,
responses are.
I understand Mrs. Zimbel's question was, how do I differentiate the fact, the actuality, and superstition? Something non-fact. If I live in make-believe, non-fact, it is inevitably superstition. That somebody is going to save me, which the whole Christendom is based on, then I live in appalling superstition. Because I have created that Jesus. I don't know if you follow this.
Krishnaji, isn't how you differentiate between fact and superstition, isn't it in the way you approach it? If you say, there is a fact and you accept it because some authority says
No, of course. All right, sir, let's find out. How do you approach any problem? Human problem. I think it applies to the scientific too. How do you approach any problem?
Only look without motive.
No, how do you approach it, sir? One can't. How do you actually approach a problem? If you are a scientist, how do you approach it? Your problem in science, in physics, in Latin, and so on. How do you approach? What's the quality of your mind that approaches a problem? Whether it be scientific, business, a problem of relationship, and so on. How do you come to it?
By questioning.
Huh?
Questioning.
No. Find out, sir. Find out how you approach it.
Well, I begin to ask questions about it. That's what I do.
Is that the way to approach it?
But you're bringing whatever competence you have in that field to it. Otherwise, you're not even in the field.
Mary, I'm asking a question. I'm sorry, I'm not making myself clear there. Suppose I have a problem. One has a problem of relationship. One quarrels with one's wife or one's husband, with a girl, a problem in relationship. How do you approach that problem?
Look at it. You stay with it.
No, How do you come to it, sir? If you say, stay with it, that's one approach.
But I want to explain what I mean by it.
Huh?
I want to explain what I mean. You asked how I come to a problem. Now, you either want me to sit here and look at it in myself. I'm aware of how I come to a problem, or you want me to speak out and say how I come
Go
to a
ahead,
problem.
sir, go ahead.
If I come to a problem with relationship, I'm aware of a response that comes about after that relationship or that contact has taken place. It comes into my mind.
All
I
right.
see that there's been a problem,
That's
so
it.
I stay with it. And
Yeah, stay with it, I understand
so it
that.
unfolds.
Now, how does another approach it?
I approach it feeling that there's something I can do.
Yes. So you see, one says, I approach it with a mind that says, I won't escape from it, I'll look at it, I'll approach, I'll stay with it and so on. The other says,
I come to it convinced there's something I can do.
yeah, saying I can do something about it. And so, how does each one of us approach any of these problems? Isn't it important to find out how to approach?
I think first of all we have to be clear of the problem before.
I'm not talking of the problem.
No. I mean approaching. We have to be when there is a problem. You investigate.
Look, Sunki, old boy, I'm asking you, how do you approach a problem? Approach, not the problem. How do you come to it?
If we set ourselves aside with an ego that says, I want, the problem is separate from me, and we make a separation between that problem and ourselves. And it's an ego that is approaching that problem.
Yes, all right. So you're saying, I approach the problem, realizing the problem is not different from me. That's your approach. Approach, not the problem. Am I making this clear or am I dumb?
Krishnamurti, I think this is a false distinction to make between the approach to the problem and the problem.
No, all right. State your case, sir. Go on.
Well, I think it might be a wrong question initially to say, how do you approach the problem? Are you saying you're given a problem? Because as far as I am concerned personally, my initial awareness is how I become aware of the problem. How do I know it's a problem? I'm using some kind of benchmark. Something is not right. I say and feel to myself, something is incomplete.
So, there is this whole world around me, right? Of which I'm a part, right? I have created this monstrous society of which I'm part, right? Right, sir?
Yes.
Now, I know it exists there because I'm part of it. It's there. I'm not talking about the problem at all. I say, how do I look at it? How do I approach it? What is my mind or the state of my mind when I look at it? Knowing the problem is not different from me and all the rest of it. I think, is this difficult?
Without prejudice.
Huh?
With an open mind without prejudice.
Now, what do you mean by an open mind?
A mind which is not burdened by any thoughts.
So you mean a mind that's not burdened by opinion, by one's own, the accumulated knowledge. One is not approached by fear. So are you, not being personal, sir, are you free from fear, personal prejudice, and opinions and conclusions so that you are approaching whatever the problem, that thing, freely?
How can you approach any problem that isn't really a problem without any knowledge at all?
What?
Without knowledge. How can one approach something without any knowledge?
No. Do I approach the fear that I have with previous knowledge of fears? Just I'm asking a question, please answer me. Is this so? Do I approach the present fear with the memories, remembrances of other forms of fears which I've had in the past, which have become memories? With that memory I approach the present fear? Just answer me that question. Or do we do this, which is natural?
We do.
Now, wait a minute. If we do, then are we approaching it rightly? That's what I'm asking. What one does may be right, but is that I'm questioning whether it's right.
It seems it's clearly not right, but is it possible to approach it without the past?
You're asking a question, is it possible to approach the problem of fear as though for the first time, without the remembrance of other fears which you have had? Whom are you asking? General Assembly? Ask them.
All of us together.
I think
when
the very...
you have a problem, there's no space, and I'm stuck to the problem. When there is space, there's some seeing.
I've asked a question, madam, which is, we generally approach a particular fear with the remembrance of other fears. That's all. If we could stay with that for a minute and examine whether that resolves the problem of fear. Or is it possible to approach without the past remembrances of fear, and can that be done? If it cannot be done, it's nonsense.
The fact that we have fear, it's already an operation of the past.
Yes. So are you...
How can it be that you observe it, without a remembrance? I mean, the fact that...
Ask her. She's listened to me for a number of years. Ask her to answer you. I can take a rest. Good. That'll help you. You teach English, so teach it. Teach her, tell her, sir. Tell him, sir.
If you're approaching the problem...
You escaped. I'm coming back to you.
If you're approaching the problem of fear, and you say, what is fear? How do I recognise fear? What do I call fear? And you look at what you call fear, and you feel what fear is, what you're naming as fear, and if you stay with that and you're really interested to learn about it, you could find, or should find, or may find, that the thought or the idea will separate from the feeling. Then you are with the feeling, and you stay with that. And then you come to the point of saying, who is observing this feeling? What is this that's looking at this feeling? And then there's a dissolution of feeling.
Tunki, answer him. I'm not keeping out of this.
While the idea is there, thought is there,
God's sake.
there's fear because there's a separation. And fear is in that separation.
Please.
But if you've got a feeling of fear, and you look just at that feeling, and you stay with the feeling, so if there's nothing but the feeling, what else is there but the feeling? How does that dissipate?
What is looking at the feeling? What is aware of the feeling? No, there's something looking at it.
Feeling is feeling.
I think if it's
No, there's something, you've got to find out what is looking at the feeling. That's the separation, that's where the feeling comes in.
That's right, sir.
Yes, there's something looking at the feeling, there's something observing the feeling. And when that, when you just ask the question then, what is looking at the feeling? And then there's a different state altogether. Then is there a separation? Then you find that the separation is the looking at the feeling, being separate from it. This is where it's just a bit hard to explain. You have to do it. You have to actually see that the thought and the feeling are separate. And then you live with the feeling, and then you are looking at the feeling as it is, not running away from it. You're looking at the feeling, and then what is looking at the feeling?
Screw up.
I don't understand what you mean, the thought and the feeling is separate.
Well, I'm not very good at explaining it. Krishnamurti is much better. You just have to do it. You just have to.
That's a dirty trick.
You just have to do it.
I don't really understand what you mean because when I have been able to do, when the mind hasn't moved off from it, which is what usually happens, it doesn't stay with it and it moves on to something else outside. But when I have been able to do it, I see that they're not separate because if I think something, the feeling is there too. It comes immediately. I don't see them as two separate things, but rather thought feeling is happening at once.
Well, if you can experience the feeling without a thought, looking at the feeling, if you can experience the feeling on its own without a thought, then you're just stuck with what is looking at the feeling.
Sir, if I may ask, are you helping me, helping in quotes, authority, no, are you trying to help me to look at fear properly? Is that what you're trying to do? Now, you've told me something. That object, there is no separation but actually and so on. Is that an idea to me or is an actuality which I realize?
You asking me that question?
I'm asking, generally, I've heard you say this. I realize what you're saying, perhaps there's truth in this. And do I listen to find out the idea of it? Or do I listen to find out if it is actually me? You follow what I'm saying? Have I listened to you, made an abstraction of what you have said, which becomes an idea, or what you are saying is immediately applicable in myself? Is that applicability taking place in me? You follow what I'm saying? Now, which is it what we are doing now? All of us. Are we making an abstraction of it? An idea of it? Or, yes, it is so. By Jove, I realize what I have done. I have separated myself from fear, and therefore I'm acting upon it. And which is, I see the falseness of it. And that fear is me. Is that a fact to me? Or is it an idea to me? You follow, sir? If it is an idea, then I'm lost. Then I enter into all kinds of theories, superstitions, play with words. But if it is so, then that I am not separate from fear, what takes place in me? So are we dealing with ideas, conclusions and theories, or, as Mrs. Zimbalist wanted to know, with facts and not with theories? Now, I want to find out how I approach this. You follow, sir? Whether I am living, actually realizing, or theory. Now, these are the two facts. They're both facts. Right? Conclusions, theories, beliefs, and facts. Now, how do I see this thing in myself? How do I approach it? I want to be, sorry if I labor that point, how do I approach this question? Am I making theories of it, verbalizing it, intellectually saying, yes, marvelous idea, and you follow, trotting off in that direction, or do I say, now let me look, right? Let me look. Which is, I'm approaching it. You follow, sir? I've discarded that. I see this stupidity of what I've done, making a theory of it. Now, if I don't make a theory of it, then I'm with a fact, which is I have separated myself from that. Is that so? Or am I still playing with words? Now, leave fear for the moment. Let's take something else, which is, that may help to kind of widen this thing. Do I realize that I am the total of humanity, the totality of humanity? Not theory of, you follow, sir? Not the verbal idea that I am the world, but the actual feeling, the real state that I am, as a human being, I represent the whole of mankind. Which we can go into, because mankind suffers. Mankind goes through all kinds of illusions, pressures, agonies, all the rest of it, and so do I. So does every human being. So the world is me. Is that a theory, a lovely idea, an emotional, romantic, you follow all that nonsense, or is it an actual fact in my life?
I can understand that intellectually, but I don't feel. I don't
what
feel it.
Moment you say I can understand intellectually, what do you mean by that? You mean you understand verbally. You understand the English language, which you and I speak. Perhaps I speak badly, you better, but we understand the language. And you see, intellectually I've grasped it.
The whole idea, it is sound. I mean, it is so.
Huh?
But the whole idea, it is true.
But is it so?
Yes, intellectually it is true, but I don't really feel that way. I mean,
moment you say intellectually, you are merely accepting the words. And intellectually, I understand, becomes rather, arrogant, not, rather silly.
How do we recognize whether we understand or not?
No, I'm asking you about this one thing.
Yes.
Do you see actually the reality of it or the idea of it?
How can we see that how can we see whether we perceive it, we perceive an idea of it, or we perceive
all right. How do you
itself?
listen? Look, how do you listen to this statement? How do you listen to it actually? Not tell me how you listen to it or how anybody listens to it. There is a statement made.
Well, someone asks me, are you the world? Or or what have you, and I say,
Not what have I.
or whatever the
No,
statement,
sir,
however they
look,
put the statement.
look, I'll make it clear. Every human being, doesn't matter where they are, psychologically, inwardly, they go through exactly more or less the same thing as you do. They suffer, they are uncertain, they run away from family, they dislike the mother, they love the father, there is separation, there is pain, there is everybody goes through this. That's a common factor of mankind, right? Now that, you may say that's not so. All right, let's talk about it.
No, I haven't said that.
Huh? Wait, this person has stated that. A statement has been made. Whether true or false, we'll discuss. How do you listen to it? That is, how do you approach it? How do you look at it? Does my brother suffer like me? Actual brother. Does my father go through the same agony that I'm going through? Does that man in India going through the same thing as I am? Perhaps little variation, but basically, fundamentally, the common factor of mankind, whether it lives in Jerusalem or in Mecca or in Moscow or in Washington or here, there, anywhere, it is the common thing. No?
Can I realize such a thing?
Huh?
Can I realize that everyone is going through exactly the same thing as I am?
Aren't they?
Can I realize whether they are or not?
Find out, sir.
By living the fact.
Come on.
Not by thinking about it, but by living the fact.
No, but seeing the fact.
Feeling it in our own life.
Seeing in the sense, this is so. Whether you live in France or in somewhere else, you're a human being with all the things that are going on inside you. And the man living in Spain, he's the same agony going on inside him. And we say this is a common factor of mankind. Therefore, mankind is me. Huh?
The division and isolation continues.
And now, it won't continue the moment when it is a reality. How can you say, I'm isolated, I'm the world, all this thing that I've created? So that's why I've been asking, how do you listen to this statement? What does it mean to your mind, to your heart, to your feelings? What does it mean when you make a statement of that kind? Do I intellectually argue about it, rationalize it, tear it to pieces? Is this so, is it not so, it is partly, it is not part, so on, so on, so on? Or do I immediately catch the depth of it?
I doubt if we'll ever get an answer on that question.
What's up?
I doubt if we will ever get an answer on that question. If
The-
I ask why the sun is up there, nobody is going to answer me.
First of all, do you doubt that statement? Do you say, what nonsense are you talking about? I'm different from my brother. I'm different from that Arab, filthy, ugly, uneducated. I'm educated, I've been to Oxford, I've been to Harvard, I've been to this or that, I've got a good business, and there is that filthy little man in India who is nothing at all. I'm certainly different from him.
Am I?
I'm questioning, sir. Are we judging these differences by education, by clothes, by dirt, by having a bigger house, lesser house outwardly? Or are we saying, look, I know I'm different. That man is not educated, I am educated, but he has the same poverty in himself. You follow, sir? Same sense of isolation, frustration, all that as me. Apparently, you don't see this. If you do, then a totally different thing takes place. If you don't, I say, what am I to do? Explain it 10 different ways. I'm willing.
I mean, I can see when I look at other people's behavior and talk to them and so on, that, you know, they have the same problems, the same emotions,
Yeah,
everything's
exactly.
the same.
So,
But yet it doesn't make me feel responsible. It doesn't make
so
me feel...
does it mean your isolation, your egotism, your sense of importance is so colossal, consciously or unconsciously, say, that is not me.
Or do we really see it in ourselves?
Huh?
Or do we really see it in ourselves?
Yes.
I think perhaps it's easier to see it in somebody else, but most of the time, I'm not even aware of the conflicts, the problems. I mean, I can cover them up so easily.
So, is it also that we like to identify with something greater, a professor with a marvelous engineer, or the admiral, or the, something tremendous, we think powerful, and poor little chap down there in the street, throw him out.
Well, that doesn't come into it for me.
And I'm just saying, I'm asking, is this what we do? Identify with something ennobling, powerful, prestigious, or little man say, well, what?
But he's doing that, and so am I.
So that goes on. So you are like that poor little man, empty inside, insufficient, all the rest of it, and so is the admiral probably. I don't know how to convey this. Why don't you see this? Not see it verbally, intellectually, idea and so on. Why don't you actually see it? What's wrong? Either it's wrong, what I'm saying is totally wrong, and you have every right to say you're nonsense you're talking about. And if you say it's not nonsense, then why don't you see the thing actually as a fact?
It is a fact, Krishnamurti, but it doesn't seem to do away with the fact that our whole existence is based on separatism.
Well, big one, sir?
Our whole existence is based on separatism.
Yes, sir, that's egotism, your arrogance, your sense of, look, I'm powerful, I exert myself. And so you more and more emphasize yourself, give importance to yourself, and so you refuse to see what is taking place. So how are you going to see what will make you or help you to see the truth of it? Knock on the head, drug, pain, suffering. Man has been through all that, and yet we keep this thing going. Just go.
It's all the problem of itself.
What's that?
It's all the problem of itself that comes in.
Therefore, no, if it is so, does the self exist in the sense that we have given it importance? You follow my question? When I realize actually, not theoretically, not as a belief and all that, actually I realize that I'm mankind. Haven't I really lost an extraordinary sense of my own importance?
Is it our sense of self-importance that keeps us from seeing this then, Krishnaji?
Perhaps.
What makes man miserable is the same to everyone.
What's that?
What makes somebody miserable is the same for every man.
No, what my misery may come about through because I've lost my money, or another misery because his wife has run away. Another misery may be because his son is not fulfilling what his father wants, and so on, so on. It's misery, isn't it? Not the expressions of misery, it's misery.
Yes, but in the depth, these are the reasons, the first reasons of the misery. But in the depth, isn't there something that's common to all these miseries?
Which is that? Which is my misery is equal to your misery. Now, why don't I recognize that I am the rest of mankind? Rest of this stupid, the thing that, this miserable thing that I am, like the rest. So let's now, we're going to meet every morning at 11:30. So now we're dispersing you follow, sir? We're not putting our minds together over a particular thing and resolving it. Not carrying on next day and meet again, repeat. But can we take something together that's common to all of us and dissolve it, be free of it? Either one way or the other. Say, you follow? Can we do that?
Actually, I don't know, I think.
What's that?
I don't know, I think, actually.
No, I'm asking, sir. I would like to discuss something. Let's say one particular thing, and you may like to discuss something else, another something else. So can't we find out all together, what it is we'd like to talk over together? Not verbally, but serious, so that it really affects my daily life. To choke you.
Why do we feel so different to our neighbor, and what can we do to stop it?
Is that what you want to discuss, sir? Is that the subject you really want to take up and go into it seriously at the end of the discussion, be free of this separation? Of course, you are taller than I am. You are longer hair, shorter hair. You live in a beautiful place. I don't, and so on. So apart from all that, of course, that may be affected if we realize that inwardly you and I are the same. Is that what you want to discuss?
Oh, why am I so important to
What?
myself?
What?
Why am I so important to myself?
Why are you so important to yourself? Is that what you want to talk about? You up.
I think it's all the same question as the idea of dependence, because it all comes down to dependence on some kind of an image of ourselves that we have, which makes a separation. And if
Do I really want to talk over together with you? And in the talking over with you, at the end of the discussion, I am free of that totally, completely. You follow what I mean? Am I serious enough, earnest, intense enough to say, look, I'm going to go through this thing right to the very end and be finished with it? Do you want to do that? Great silence. Come on. Well, do it, sir. Do it. Let's do it. Say, for instance, I would like personally to discuss with you meditation. Just a minute, don't jump on me. Meditation. I don't think you can. Because I could go into it very deeply, but I don't think you can. You haven't gone into it. I would like to discuss with a person who says, I've gone that far, now let's go much further. In the same way, I'd like to discuss with somebody, say, look, what does it mean to have a mind that's completely empty? Empty in the sense that has no problem, no impressions, no any kind of imprint on it. And what is the quality of such a mind with that extraordinary energy which is implied in emptiness? You can't. So you follow what I'd like to discuss, for example, with you, what really means relationship. To be related to somebody. But it's possible to be related without a single image about the other. You follow, sir? Will you do that? Will you say, look, let's take relationship and go through it to the very end, so that there isn't a particle of contradiction between her, me, and she and you. Can we discuss that? We are here for that purpose, for God's sake.
Krishna Ji, this is a problem. I'm listening to you now. You're asking the people in this room. I'm very interested in solving the problem of me and the world. It's the same as fear. It's the same problem as fear and all these things, because the separation from the world, to me, seems to be the problem. Once you are the world, then you've solved that division.
Yeah, shall we discuss that?
Go into that and finish
Go into that. Sir, I'm asking, I will take anything you want. Your sex, your whatever it is. Go to the very end of it and see where we are. But none of you, see, you hesitate, you were silent, you play. Huh?
Question, Julie, before going into that question, certainly is absolutely fundamental, could we also go in for a short while as to how we are going to go in?
How? That's it. What's your quality of your mind? We'll go into, but choose, all of us, take one subject which is common to us and work it out in detail and go to the very end. And at the end of it, say, right, I'm out. And now to always talk about it.
Well, why this sense of isolation when we know that everybody's in the same boat?
Is that what you want to discuss? Will you put your guts, energy, sorry to use the word guts, but it's a good word. Will you put your guts, your energy, and your vitality into solving something? Or you just float around? I thought we're all gathered here for that purpose. That few of us take one thing or the other, a human problem, not what the moon or how to fly a kite or anything like that. But human problem, take one of these and work it out so completely. If you don't want to, what's the purpose of our meeting?
Krishnaji, it seems that we can only discuss a problem that is really real for all of us.
What is that? Come on, sir. What would you have?
I would suggest that we talk about relationship.
Now, can we go into that?
Yes, sir.
Right? And work it out in detail. Break it up and see it and find out how to live rightly with another. Can we do that, sir? Would that interest you?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Can we do that tomorrow morning? You stick to it and you mean it right. Sally.
But Krishnaji, the question that was raised earlier seems to be very important, that we look at the approach, how we approach the question.
We are going to do both, sir. We are going to do all of that. That is, we are going to discuss tomorrow morning this one thing, that relationship with all the things implied in it, everything implied in it, and in discussing, see if we cannot break down this barrier between woman and man. Not sexual, I don't mean that. This psychological division that man has created between themselves. Right, sir? Shall we do this? Right. Lunchtime.